Welcome everybody to Capes and Scowls West.
West.
Issue 13.5.
Ooh, spooky. Sorry.
Spooky review
Spooky
special.
and a half. I mean, I feel like I'm the only one who stuck with spooky.
Yeah,
so,
you really are.
So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with cat spooky.
I read hack and slash. You know, it's
Hack slash.
Excuse me, hack slash slash.
Get it right.
Slash.
God.
Okay, so well, how about you start us out, Kat, since you got some spooky things?
I do have spooky things.
Spooky.
So I picked up the DC House of Horror. It's a one shot. It's like $10, and honestly, I'd say pick it up. It's still worth the $10.
Yeah.
So like the first story in it, I was like, all right, I hope this isn't like the rest of them because I'm gonna be really pissed if I just wasted $10. But then I read further into it, and I was like, no, this is great.
There's some all-star creators on that book.
Well, I was honestly really surprised because the quote-unquote rating on this is rated teen+, and I'm just like, I feel like this is more of a mature audience.
Really?
There's so much blood and gore in this one. So much. Like,
I like that. There's
so
blood.
much. But, like, the, my favorite story in here, surprisingly wasn't the one that had a Wonder Woman in it.
Okay.
Actually, I guess there was two. There was one with Batman, but it was one of the ones where he's like, it's kind of like a split persona, and it's so good. I don't want to ruin it for people, but it's so good. And then there's not just zombies, which of course I was really happy about because I'm
Right.
kind of a little done and over with all the zombie bullcrap. Of course, there is a zombie one in there, but
Yeah.
they don't necessarily say it's zombies, but I'm like, dude, it's zombies.
Yeah.
So I thought that honestly, like for the $10, like I kind of walked away with a good deal because like there's like a bunch of like they're short, like like 3 or 4 pages short.
Oh, cool.
So like you're through a few of them relatively quickly. I mean, they've got Superman in it, they've got Wonder Woman, they've got the Flash, they've got Green Lantern, Batman's in like a few of them.
Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
Shazam, sorry.
all of us over here are like, yes,
Yes,
of course.
that one. So, like, in my opinion, for the $10 that I spent, like, totally worth it. Like, the art in here is beautiful, and just, like, the stories they're super short, and the only one that I was left, like, I want more because I feel like this doesn't have an end to it, is the Shazam. The Shazam one, and that was really the only one I was like, really? But I mean, the Wonder Woman one was great. Like, there's evil spirits. There's like a zombie virus in one of them. I believe there's like insane. Like, you're crazy insane. There's evil possessions. There's a creepy Harley Quinn ghost that's like still has
awesome.
humor in it, which is weird because considering what I'm reading, I'm like giggling and I'm like, wait, this is awful. But yeah, it's definitely a horror piece. Like, if you are under, I mean, I guess ask your parents, but
Yeah.
there's definitely quite a bit of gore in here. So,
Cool. Sounds pretty exciting.
yeah, I would, read it. Seriously, it's great.
Cool.
So, what do you have for us, Nat?
I actually finally was able to pick up one of the Dark Knight's metal tie-ins because they have been very hard to get a hold of. But I got Batman the Merciless, and I was really excited about this one, more because it centers around Wonder Woman's universe, and it had art by Francis Monopoul.
I mean, honestly, it just looks like the cover of like a metal CD, so that's why I'm kind of
Yeah.
like,
So good. I don't know. Are we video recording?
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
This is probably not going to come through. It's probably just
Not
going to be
very
like
well.
a huge glare. But this was great. So one of the weird things about, and a buddy of the show and a buddy of mine, Keith, was talking about the fact that these metal tie-ins, these one-shots, are really aspects of Batman if you remove somebody or a group of people that are important to him. So this is Batman when you remove Wonder Woman from the equation.
Like, every time you say Batman metal, I just want to start like headbanging.
Right. So it's something about that, right?
Right.
But yeah, so this is the idea that what happens if Batman loses Wonder Woman in a battle, and
I
it's a
didn't
really,
realize
really
that's
great-
what those tie-ins were. I mean, I haven't
it's-
read them yet, so far
it's
behind.
coming out that way. Like, it's starting to be, oh, wait a minute, this is what happens when he doesn't have the Robins. This is what happens when Alfred dies. So all of them have these different
Ooh.
aspects, and they're
Kind of-
different Earths.
I actually am really excited to read the first one I got than the Flash one because I want to know.
That's the Robins.
Oh, really?
Yes, but so in this, Ares ends up having like a new super powerful helmet that basically makes him an even more powerful god of war. And so he basically has a global wide war, and Batman and Diana are at the front lines together.
Of course, because Wonder Woman.
And this is supposedly animated series inspired.
Mhm.
So there's the hint that Wonder Woman and Batman were a couple, like they were together, which I always love. That to me, it seems the most logical. If you're gonna have Wonder Woman with a man, I like the idea of somebody that she looks at and says, "Oh, you're just a man, but you choose to do all these things." This is very like altruistic, and
We'll get into that later.
I've always thought that.
We always fight about this.
Yes,
always.
Superman is a terrible choice.
Well,
Anyway,
shut up. No one asked you.
but this is gorgeous work. Batman
mean-
steals the helm, and as one would think, it turns him into a super dark version of Batman, and exploring the idea of letting all of these villains live is the wrong decision. And he starts with Ares, and that's Ares' head that he's carrying around with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's Batman with
That's-
the Wonder Woman like armor or
Yep.
logo on his armor.
With the air, yeah, with
Okay.
With
wow.
Ares' helm
Yeah.
that has morphed into bat wings because of who's wearing it. So
naturally.
yeah, it's a really
Huh.
great one-off story. It's the what happens when the Merciless arrives in Gotham. In
So
our
it's
world.
basically like they're all of the Merciless's backstories of who they like, what they are.
Yep. It's each of the Dark Knights, and this one is gorgeous. Monopool's artwork, he is.
Well, it looks
phenomenal.
pretty just from like me sitting over here and
Oh, yeah.
like trying to stare at it, but not stare at it too closely because I want to read it.
It's great, and then
Yeah.
there's a big reveal at the
Ooh,
end.
no spoilers. Ooh, no spoilers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a big spoiler in the last page that makes the whole thing, it breaks your heart. So great
Wow.
book.
I just wanna
definitely
start-
pick it up. And yeah, that's what I got right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try to do 3 semi-quickly. So first off, I got Samurai Jack, Quantum Jack.
This is issue number 2, right?
Yeah, this is issue number 2,
I keep reading.
written by Fabian Rangel Jr. and art by Warwick Johnson Cadwell. So,
Direct.
this issue is basically like a luchador match the whole time, and
Nice.
then he like gets transported somewhere else at the end. I think this is gonna be more of like an episodic one-shot deal, which that's all I have to say about that.
It's always depressing when I
Um,
hear that about something that has been like
I
such
know,
an
'cause
iconic piece.
Because I love Samurai Jack, and the only reason I picked it up is because like I love it so much.
So I can honestly say
hold
when
on. I feel like this story is that Samurai Jack's consciousness is traveling through realms and like trying to figure out where it's supposed to be. Because in the first one, it was a much darker version of the future that he was in before.
Yeah.
This one, he's now a luchador. So I think it's like post, like actually traveling through time. Maybe this is the beginning of the story, like the beginning of Samurai Jack. So as he's traveling through things, I think there's a lot to be said about what will happen at the end of all of these put together.
Yeah,
That's true.
I'm still interested to see where it goes and if it all ties in together. So up next I got Moon Girl and question mark because she gave up Devil Dinosaur and it was the most beautiful friendship in the world.
I haven't read it, so my tears would be fake. I don't do crocodile tears, people. I am a real person.
I went to
Anyways.
Aspen
So
classes, so I might just do crocodile tears.
So basically,
Reading
this
it.
is it's kind of like the Thor, honestly, in a way, because it's written by Brandon Montclair, but it has 3 different artists in it doing 3 different short stories, or 4 different artists, I guess, in total, right? 4, 4 different artists in total doing, because she's looking for new partners. She knows like she's a 9-year-old girl, so like she
That's a little
knows
weird.
that she. Needs like no, god damn it, Kat, not like that.
I
but
didn't
she
mean
needs-
it like that either.
She needs
Like, I don't want
someone-
to pair myself
okay.
with a 9-year-old girl when I'm like a superhero. Okay, it's
Yeah,
weird.
but she's the
a
smartest
smart-
person
yeah.
in
Yeah.
the universe. She just needs like some muscle. She's the brains and she needs muscle. So
she needs the
first we got like baby X-Men
That's
in like a
awesome.
weird like alternate the Mojo verse basically. Next
Baby
we have
X-Men.
Next we have her with Ghost Rider.
Hell yeah. I like this idea a lot.
And yeah, there basically starts off with like 3 different Ghost Riders like having a street race.
Are you kidding me? Do we have Catch in there? Is Danny Catch in this? No, he's not.
But like Ghost Rider crashes his motorcycle and Moon Girl gives him her like skate shoes. So we have like some flaming like rollerblades that Ghost Rider is riding
amazing.
on.
That's not a gay joke in there. Honestly, I will find it.
Yeah, but there's like a great part in here where she's like, where it's like, good thing you have small feet, and he's like, hey, my feet are just skeletons, so you know, it's like whatever. And then in the last one, she goes to Daredevil for some legal reasons that come up earlier in the issue.
That's awesome.
And then like she's walking away, and the Hand attacks her for no good reason, and Daredevil comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Oh wow, you know, you really shouldn't be doing this as a 9-year-old kid." And she's like, well, like, why are ninjas attacking me? Like, that's your bag. Like, if anything, they were here after you. And also, I didn't ask for help, and I totally beat the ninjas anyway. So, like, and he's like, we would have made a great team if we had worked. And she's just like, I don't care. I didn't ask you. And then in the end,
I enjoy the sheer amount of attitude in that.
Yeah, and then in the end, it's the Thing and the Human Torch. So we're gonna get a Fantastic 3.
Interesting.
Now,
I was gonna say there may have been a play on 4 artists, like a Fantastic 4 artists.
Ooh. Yeah. I was gonna talk a little bit about Shirtless Bear Fighter. I believe this is number 5. But I think I'm running a little on time here. And it's great. I just picked up this volume. Apparently, it's the last one.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a short story. I didn't know that. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. The amount of bear puns and, like, grotesquely large, blurred-out penises is just amazing. It's hilarious in every aspect.
I can't even say that.
I also specifically love how the city that they're fighting in is literally called Major City.
That's awesome.
So, that's my review of Shirtless Bear Fighter number 5.
Alright. Kat, what do you got next?
I guess I've got some, I don't know, we could do some hack / resurrection. I would have to say, like, just reading this first issue, Cassie Hack is like my hero. I just have to say, this woman lives the life I can kind of dream of. So, one of the quotes is, I never put pants on anymore, just so you know, you can consider this a date. And I was like, will you marry me? Because,
and she also
yes.
says that to a zombie as
she's
bashing its head.
Yeah, to a zombie as she's, like, just, like, hurriedly putting pants on, which I'm like, and honestly, like, you can ask my friends. I'm like, I guess I gotta put some pants on. I'll be there in, like, 15 minutes. And then, I mean, one night my friend was surprised because I was wearing pants, so, you know.
That's hilarious.
So, the fact is, like, I can relate on, like, quite a good level. I mean, she also has a cat, so there's that.
Yeah, that is true.
And she brings the cat with her.
She cares about the cat more than she does most people.
Like I said, I can relate. It's probably, I will admit it, I can totally relate.
Just looking at this, flipping through this, the artwork is really good in this book.
I really, honestly, like this, honestly, just reading this first one makes me want to go get the other issues and read them, because now I'm curious to, like, why she has the attitude that she has in, like, the beginning of this, because it gives you, like, a short blurb, and it gives you everything that you need to know, which I can totally appreciate, because I haven't read it, so they made it easy for somebody who's never read it to get into it. Yeah. So that was really nice. Like, the opening was great. I mean, like I said, I was slightly confused because I didn't really read the original, so I don't understand her backstory as much.
Right.
But even for not reading the original, I was still like, I'm getting the second issue of this.
they hit a lot of horror movie tropes in this one issue.
I know, it's
too, and
great.
I'm like, okay, so if this is what's played out in the rest of the series, I'm really intrigued by what
I'm just saying.
Be done.
When she said twin mates, I was like, I love you. Like, so cool. I mean, her bat says kiss it. Like, I don't even know. Like,
I didn't pick that up. That's amazing.
Like, read it, Nat. It's great. Like,
that's hilarious. Kiss it.
It's just it's a good show. It's a good show. It's a good one. Like, just like, I know that there's got to be some kind of symbolism with some of the art in here, and just because I haven't read the other one, I can't connect it very well. But I would say, even if you haven't read the other issues, like I haven't, I would say pick it up because this is great. I mean, she spends like the first half of the issue without pants on, talking to a cat. I'm like, if I don't relate to this,
Yeah. There's like a bit of like the funny, like the sexy girl stereotype too.
Mhm.
Like she's literally walking around in a tank top and panties, but it's like it's her being like, oh god, life is so stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not glorifying all of that. The
No,
shots are probably glorifying things, but
Yeah,
I mean, that's gonna happen.
I think you get like an. I
But
think you
at
get
the
like
same
an
time,
ass
that's-
shot at least every other
Yeah.
page.
But that's the thing, is that's like another horror movie trope
right, exactly.
in itself with those shots. So like
Well, and
it's like
if she's the final girl, then it implies also that she's the virgin. in
yeah,
the story.
right.
So it's like
If Cabin in the Woods taught us anything,
Right, exactly. Good movie.
that is a really good movie. You know, I read it. I'm not too big of a horror fan in general, so I guess the story didn't appeal to me that much. But I do have to agree with you. She is an amazing character.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, that quote, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna live my life. Like if anybody, like I just like, there will be moments where I will probably quote that and be like, just so you know, I don't really wear pants, so you could consider this a date.
That's
And I will say that to friends. But I mean, I don't like horror movies, but horror genres on like paper, great. So I'm like sold on this. I'm like, here's my money, take it. Let's continue on and have more fun.
Fair
So
enough.
I would definitely suggest it.
Awesome. What do you got for us next, Nat?
I have Maestros #1. That's from Image Comics. It's written and illustrated by Steve Scowls, with color by Dave Stewart. This is, I want to read the second issue, but I feel kind of dirty reading this book. There's
I
like,
love those.
Yeah.
Like I walk out of like Barnes and Noble feeling slightly guilty sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, they know what I'm reading.
This is like Harry Potter if Harry was 30 years old and a pervert and kind of a dick.
So everybody in this generation.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's a super violent, overly sexualized magical world where the Maestros, which would be sort of like the equivalent to gods and then magic wielders at the same time. So it's like all of our stories about gods are actually about like the Maestros. And there is this man who is a maestro. His father was basically the king of all of them, and his mother kept him away from the world, though, like has taken him out of it. But now that all of the maestros are dead, he needs to come back to defeat the big bads. But we get into his backstory and him as a chubby teenager finding out that he's actually the...
Does he have chubby teenager complex?
Yeah, and he walks in on his dad and his mom reuniting after some time. So yeah, there's like a bit of
I'm
holy
offended
shit,
by that.
what is going on right here? Yeah, it's beautiful.
Good for her.
Right,
Exactly.
She's like, yeah, I'm into it.
Walking
only
in
right
on
now.
your parents' magical coitus.
That's what he said too.
Oh god.
It's so magical.
Navigating discussion about this book is very difficult. I'm just gonna say
just seeing the one page I saw, it's super difficult.
It
It's
is.
okay. I think we're all old enough to.
Well, like this is fun in the magical world, is taking people and exploding them from the inside out.
Yeah,
You know,
obviously
like-
fun.
Right.
Fun for the whole family.
Yeah. This is definitely not a book for kids.
No.
But it plays on the tropes too. Like look at the wizard robe with the stars and everything. But
Like the pointy hat,
Right.
wizard like goatee style
Mhm.
beard and stuff.
I want
So-
a pointy wizard hat.
right,
Imagine
I want an armored pointy wizard hat. That's dope.
Oh,
You
right.
can own a pointy wizard hat. I mean, no one's stopping you. Just
But-
No,
own
but
it
I'm
out
Robin
there.
right now.
Ultimately, I actually really did enjoy this. I don't usually read stuff that is that adult in its content, and so it's a little rough for me.
Yeah, I
to
don't
go
normally
through it.
talk about those things anyways, like
Yeah.
especially even if I do read them, so I
Right.
totally get it.
But and it's not like it's really trying to portray a negative culture, I think, in this.
If
so,
it's not, then I'm thoroughly shocked.
right. So it'll be interesting to see like the whole story of him growing up and learning magic and then being kicked out or being removed from it. But I kind of dug it. I definitely want to read issue 2.
Interesting. Awesome.
Alright.
Well, next I have.
Patrick's gonna depress us all, mostly
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah.
I know, right? So if you've been enjoying it so far, you might as well just stop the podcast right here because it's about.
Or
to
just
get
take
really
like a
heavy.
10-minute, take like a,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Come
like,
back
like
in
4 or
4
5
minutes.
minutes.
Okay.
I will talk about something that.
So,
Oh.
in a different vein of horror, we have Bitch Planet triple feature.
God, the
So-
triple features are so bad.
Dude, the triple features are amazing. They're what got me into these comics. Unfortunately, this
They
will be
cut
the
me so
last triple feature, and
deep.
then they'll go back into the main story arc.
So
So the first one, it's a great play on the classic. It's called Everyone's Grandma's a Little Bit Feminist. And it's this guy, or this granddaughter bringing home a guy for Christmas, and the grandma's like, I remember back in the day when we used to be allowed to go to college and do all this stuff, and at one point
I
hit
just want to
the
tip
guy
chairs over.
the guy slaps her ass and is like, hey, go get me a drink or whatever, and the grandma's like cracking walnuts, and she's like, if a guy ever did that to me, I'd take this nutcracker to him and see what I could do. And then so she's doing this, and then
on just a not even just on a female level, and then on top of it, part of it might just be the fact that I'm also a lesbian, but the thought of some dude slapping my ass, honestly, even if a female did that to me, slap me on the ass, hey baby, go get me a drink, I'd be like,
I know,
get away
but
from me.
but the best part about this
it's
is
just disrespectful on such a fundamental
the best part
level.
about this issue is the granddaughter, she's talking to her grandma one-on-one, and she's like, Grandma, goddammit, I love him so much, why are you doing this? And the grandma's like, well, do you really love him that much? Is he the one? Would you say? And she's like, yes, and she gives this big speech, and the grandma's just says, what a goddamn disappointment you turned out to be.
Wow. I
know.
have to
and then she gets sent off to the Bitch Planet geriatric ward.
That's awesome. I have to say something about this too. Elsa Chatelier, I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
Her art is very reminiscent to Batman the Animated Series. So I want you to picture what Patrick just described in Batman the Animated Series style.
Yeah, super cartoony, and it has a really vibrant feel to it.
Which makes it all the more cutting.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So the next two stories are more race than feminism. One's these two actors, one's Asian, the other's white. They're both, you find out that they're both auditioning for the same movie, for the same role in the same movie. They're also friends. They get there, and the directors are like, oh, we obviously choose the white kid, and the other one can be the stunt coordinator, and they're talking about oh, maybe we can even CG the white guy to make him look Asian, and they're the other guy just want to appeal. He just want to appeal to the audience. And if you want to talk about blackface,
oh God,
this
no!
last story.
What have I done?
Thanks for this great transition. So we have the last story is called Basic Bitch. It's written by three sisters actually, Bassie Nyambia, Iang Nyambia, and Nyambia Nyambia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced those names. And
that was a lot of
and all
similar.
Art by Chris Visions. So the story basically opens up with this group of girls going out, and it's very clear very quickly that they're basically appropriating black culture. They got cornrows. They're talking about getting lip and ass implants to get big stuff. The way they talk, they're like, hey girl, hey bitch, please. Whatever.
When I hear regular women talk like that, I just want to throat punch them, and I don't know what it is. It's just a trigger.
Yeah. So one of their friends is running late because she's at the beauty salon, and she gets basically this procedure to make her skin black, to actually become black. And the place is actually called Shade 50, and there's an advertisement that says, buy 2 shades, get the 3rd free.
I literally just want to lay on the floor for the rest of this.
So her friends get pulled over earlier by the police, have a conversation. She gets pulled over by the same cop, has the exact same conversation. It's mirrored panel by panel, and the dialogue is the exact same. The cop pulls out his gun, tells her to get out of the car, and then we get the last page, which is this news story of these 2 very chipper news anchors being a black woman was killed earlier today in an altercation with the police. Luckily, both of the officers were unharmed, and go into a big long thing about how the officers have children and a wife and all this stuff, and they're like, well, isn't that great to hear that those guys are safe?
So
Yeah,
are we done yet?
I'm yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting with an anvil on me right now, and I don't even want to participate.
Yeah.
Like, they're great stories, don't get me wrong, but, like, the seething rage within sometimes, I'm just like, don't let it show. It's fine. Don't let it show.
That's just so much.
It's
That's a lot.
It's so much. And they're short, too. They're short. They're
That
like
is
8
the
pages.
worst
They're like
part.
8 pages long, and you're like, how can you get all of this stuff in here? How can you make me feel like a terrible person in 8 pages and feel like society is just full of similarly terrible people?
That's why I hate the women ones, because, like, the fact of the matter is, like, I can relate to them, and then, like, within my own life, sometimes I can see some of that stuff, and I'm just like, oh, God!
Bitch Planet is probably the most in your face with, like, its feminist and racial, like, ideology. And they hit the nail on the head so hard, too. All the time. It's spot frickin' on. And I love it.
I couldn't table flip.
I mean,
before
like, issue 1
it.
is the silhouette of a woman in handcuffs giving 2 middle fingers out at the people. So, like,
dude, I read the first issue of that, and I'm like, I can't read this series. I will just walk around in a tiny rage bubble for weeks.
Yeah, no, that's basically
tiny rage bubble.
That's basically what happens. If you want to have a good, nice, like, little comic read, like, read your little comic.
Don't
magazine,
read it.
Do not read Bitch Planet. If you want to contemplate the awfulness of society and the world and, like, where we're headed to.
If you want to live in denial like me, don't read it. It's not denial, but it's more like I want to dream that I'm not in this world sometimes, so I read other things.
How even though this comic takes place in a dystopian future, you're like, wow, our current society is a dystopian, like, future.
Oh, God.
Kat, you want to take over this right now?
God, yes!
So with that transition, what do you have for us, Kat?
Moment. All right. So, God.
I'm sorry.
It's like horror on another level.
I know, right?
So I'm gonna talk about Jughead the Hunger and attempt to talk about it, anyways. So this is a new series that they put out, and it's from Archie's Madhouse. It is not for kids, not for kids, not for kids, not at all. Nope. So we'll lead with that. So it's written by Frank Terrier, I think is what his name is, and then art by Pat and Tim Kennedy. To me, it felt a little short, which kind of bothered me a little bit. And then, of course, like, just the leading into the story, it felt like, I don't know if this is true or not, whether there's, like, a comic before this, like a prequel comic before it, just reading it. I don't know if you felt that way, too.
I don't know if Afterlife with Archie deals directly with this storyline. I know that Afterlife with Archie is a book that people really love as a horror take. So I don't know if that's one of the things that happens in that, but I thought that dealt more with zombies, so...
Yeah, I don't know, but
it definitely feels like this is part 2.
Yeah, it does, right? Just from the talks of it, it's like, is there a comic I haven't read? But, I mean, it starts out with Jughead, and he's like, you know, these animals know what I am, blah, blah. Like, him just dealing with the fact that at the end of the day, in this comic, Jughead is actually a werewolf. And it turns out that Betty Cooper is in charge of killing / maiming / him just being dead somewhere and not living anymore. So... I don't really know the Archie universe very well, but, like, I feel like the Betty Cooper in this one is a lot more hard-pressed. She's a lot more in your face, like, whereas, I'm just gonna take it from Riverdale at this point. From Riverdale, she's a very, okay, I'll do what you want, and then as she gets angry and upset, she takes that basically out on herself.
Huh.
So, like, with this one, I feel like, I'm just assuming, and I could be totally wrong, and if anybody wants to correct me, go for it. I will not yell at you. I feel like she's more of a laid-back, oh, you said this to me, it is what it is, I don't care, or I'll just hold it in myself.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, you have Veronica Lodge, who's like,
yeah.
Why'd you talk to me like that? So, like, seeing Betty like this, like, she just talks massive crap to Archie. Like, it's kind of it's like a reminiscent moment, except it's kind of backwards because Betty Cooper is blonde and Freddy is blonde in Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, and Daphne just talks shit to him.
The reverse.
Yeah, so it feels like just it's weird. So I kept drawing parallels to that, and it was odd, but she's just like an outright character. I mean, there's a lot of gore in this.
Oh yeah, there's one sequence with the aftermath of the werewolf.
I was just yeah. I saw that and I was just like, huh. All right, good thing I didn't eat.
Yeah.
And then like you go to the part where you actually at the very end you bump into Veronica, and she hits some issues with somebody else, and the drawing in this for what. Yes.
Yeah, it's super cartoony, yeah, like,
but it's so awesome.
The impact that the art has is really, really
yeah,
good.
But like I said, it felt like it was kind of short. I was like, that was it. That's all. What?
Yeah.
So I wish if it gave like a little bit more. And like I said, I still feel like I'm missing something over here that I don't know about, but I'll take it. I like it. I'm gonna read issue 2, so I'm stoked. All right.
Cool.
Well, what do you got for us next, Matt?
So my last review will be Angelic, number 2 from Image Comics. This is written by Simon Spurrier with art by Caspar Wingard. Issue number 1 was just a really great intro into the world where we've utilized animals as weapons of war. And
biotech weapons.
Right, and then we've left the planet. And so this is kind of the continuation just of the story of mans, which are actually these manatee creatures who are like, they're bubbled in like these metal floating robot suits.
Basically like manatee drones.
Yeah, they're like manatee drones, but they're like mechs almost. And they're trying to find like,
it's a manatee in a mech.
They're trying to help their god. And their god's name is Ai, as in A-Y. I really, as the story
is it a pirate?
I think it means I, as in myself, or as in artificial intelligence, AI. There's a lot here it's hinting at what happened before, and I think the name Angelic is going to be important going down the line. There is a statue that Korra and one of the rogue mans, the manatees, are sent to look for more information on how to fix Ai, because Ai is broken. And they get to a statue that kind of is man's ascendance of the animals that have served in war throughout time. And at the top of the pillar is the angel image with the sword downward.
The angel of death, basically.
Yeah, and it starts with war horses, and it goes into using war dogs, and then it has the dolphins, which play a huge part in the story as being like the absolute killers. And yeah, and then it has the monks and their war armor. And it's a really like poetic story, and a lot of what the hell is why did we leave? And that seems to be the big unfolding event. It's beautiful too.
I was just gonna say we're bastards, but all right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Did we destroy everything, or did we die? Like, did the use of animals as weapons actually kill us? Were their first generation? Did they turn around and obliterate us?
I mean, I could say I would.
is this like WALL-E, or is this like The Road?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. But yeah, I actually
keep going down them dark paths, Patrick.
I'm sorry, somebody's gotta do it.
I recommend this to anybody who's looking for something different and likes science fiction. It's set on Earth. It's really great world building. I said it before. It feels like Avatar-ish to me, in the same vein of storytelling that is cartoony yet deep. Like, there's a lot of mythology there, and it's a really fun story. Just seeing Korra on her adventure to be be different from her society.
You just say that, and I think Avatar anyway. So it's just
Well,
focus.
Korra spelled Q-O-R-A.
I was like, nope, wrong line.
Yeah. But 2 thumbs up on that one for sure. That's a great book.
Yeah, it looks really interesting.
Cool.
So I guess we all kind of have to talk about Nightwing New Order now, issue number 3.
Always.
So I just
I
noticed
am dressed as Robin right now. Of course we do.
So I just noticed this actually. That on the cover, I know, right?
Did you not see that? That was like the first thing I saw.
The subtitle is "Men and Women Were Meant to Walk, Not Fly." That is some heavy stuff. So this issue for me, I really enjoyed the story. The most intense part with me was when Nightwing is just having a dialogue about like him like kind of like realizing what he's done.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no,
he's like, but
I'm
it's different
because
he's my son, you know.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, yeah, and you helped me put away my father. Like, so what is like, So yeah, and this is like really what's interesting to me because like all this stuff, especially like people, absolutes cannot work in a world where grays exist because that breaks the black and white down.
Yeah.
And that just cannot exist. And I thought, like I said, I thought this story was great.
I will say that Snickers ad was like one of those moments in time where I was like, "This God, stop it!"
It is definitely more of an issue for people who love DC. There's some really great intros and like cameos all around. So with that, I think I'm gonna leave that to you guys.
They threw Batwoman at me, and I was like, "Oh yeah!"
There's a lot of nice hidden gems. Finally seeing Starfire and Dick at the wedding day, was really cool. So I wanted to talk about something that I hit on when I was reading this. That Kim, also associate here at Griffin Game of the Comics. She was so hyped on this and talking specifically about seeing Starfire. When I read it, it stuck out to me. There's a lot of police brutality in this story. Like that's a really it's a big point.
I mean, honestly, a lot of it is just like a very fascist society in general.
Well, and making that statement, and a lot of times the police violence that we're seeing, there's a lot of race is the big problem in our current society, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're seeing a lot of the police brutality and the violence is gearing in that direction. I thought it was a very interesting choice that the police that is used to send out to find Dick is the Black Green Lantern. It was Jon Stewart. So the one who is going to be the violent act against Dick ends up being the Black character.
Well, I mean, you can read that a lot. You can read that a lot of ways because it's like, what's that line in Fuck the Police where it's like black police shoving out for the white cop. It's like it's more of like a mentality of the organization rather than the individual.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is important. It's not done as they could have put Hal in this role. They did it specifically. Like it's meant to be Jon Stewart for a reason. So
yeah, that is very interesting.
And then the fact that Jon still has the ring, so he's still allowed to be a Lantern.
Well, because technically he is a human.
True. He doesn't have any human powers.
Inherently, he doesn't have any powers. However,
he's also been a part of the military as well.
Yeah.
And so it's not shocking to me because he was a military man, and considering the fact that in all reality, the person who started this
laugh so hard.
You're right. Who started this whole thing, which you come to find out was Batwoman. She's the one who actually built this whole
organization.
The whole organization from top to bottom, and Dick Grayson just became the face of it.
Yeah. And because he did the bomb.
Which honestly, like, as a Batwoman fan, I can't say that like the thing that kind of like in this universe she seems like a bit more of a caring / jealous person. Not jealous, but like I don't know. The Kate Kane that I think of is I don't give a shit. I do what I want.
Yeah, I think there's still there's so much of her broken down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think this is this is an older version of her.
Yeah.
Because this is what like 20-ish years I think, or maybe 30 years almost.
I don't know.
After.
Is Dick like 45, 50?
He seems mid 40s.
Okay.
Mid to late 40s is what I would put him at. But I have no idea. So like she would have to be like in her 50s at least, like
ish. Because I picture her as being slightly older than Nightwing.
Yeah, she is. I believe she is.
Yeah, so she would.
They're not that far apart though.
Yeah.
Like her early to mid 50s, so like I can see that time just having tempered her down, and especially if she's not doing vigilante justice this whole time.
I have to think. But that was kind of the thing, and the fact is like the other part of me too, and I don't know if maybe this is just my whole deal, but I know that her origin story is actually her being kicked out of the military for homosexual conduct. Mm-hmm. So like the fact that she goes back in this universe, like I don't know if it's just me as on a personal level, like if I was kicked out for something like that, I'm like I don't really.
There's a bit of like it's part of her upbringing, like her dad being a general, and like.
And I think that's what it was, and like I said, it might just be me who would be like, if somebody kicked me out for being who I am, I don't really want to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that's gone, said and done, but it's still.
I think
You know.
the theme in the Bat universe in general with their characters is that they always have something in their past that they can't get away from, and it always centers around family. And
Yeah.
she's always trying to be her father's daughter.
She even hates him though.
And she does, and
it's
that's the thing.
so confusing.
But that makes sense
Yeah.
storytelling wise. It's like she's still trying to be her father's daughter,
Yeah.
and puts herself into a position of power. I mean, she's an incredibly powerful person in this.
Oh yeah,
universe.
she is, and like I said, like the whole thing that I liked was the fact of, you know, she set all this up and it was handed to him, and now he's spitting in the face of it. So I can honestly see, like I know very like in a lot of stuff she usually does hold well, like with her emotions and composure, but that had to have been like one of the founding moments of being pissed off. And just kind of, I was looking at this too, like they're all holding like the American flag on the front of it.
Right.
Her hand is at the top though.
Yep.
And I'm like, that says something. And then of course his is in the middle, but if you look at the pose, he's still at the forefront, and where she's still in the background.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot. Like, this is not a simple comic book. It's
no, there's
easy
so
to
much thinking.
read,
Oh yeah.
but it's and then the final page. I mean, dealing with the new looks of the classic Titans.
Right.
One of the things I wanted to see, if you would flip to the last page for me. Sorry, my copy did not bring for whatever reason.
Tis.
So we assume that that's Starfire.
I'm that's my assumption.
She has guns, which means that her powers have been inert. Or at least that's the reading I get. So she's kind of like the militarized version of Starfire after power. So what exactly is she going to think about when this conversation happens next time? And I have to say that Wally West in the black and red is fucking awesome looking. Like, that Flash costume is sweet.
Well, the fact that he like throws up and he's like, "Oh, we were thinking the same thing." I'm like, "There it is!" So, I mean, honestly, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm interested to see what other role Batwoman ends up playing in this, if she's going to become the end all, not the end all be all, but the main thing in his way, which is what I'm assuming is going to happen. Because of the way that
like, I really, as this goes on, I get to the feeling that Nightwing is the primary villain in this story.
I don't know. He's looking for his son, and that's just a selfish induced thing. But I wonder if it's gonna make him think. It's so open ended, and like the back of my mind, I'm like, how are you doing this in 6 issues? Yeah. How? There's just so much.
Yeah, this issue was fast.
And then even just like adding Batwoman to the mix, I'm just like, what? So I keep reading, everybody. Just keep reading.
We talk about it a lot because it is really, well, even in conversation, I feel like the same way about Blade Runner 2049. It's like the more I talk about it,
don't even say the name.
No, please let's not review.
10 minutes later.
But really, the more you talk about it, like the more things you find and see, and the different perspectives are really important in this story. So yeah, I think it's a resounding read Nightwing New Order.
Yeah, read it. Just read it. You'll love it.
Cool.
Well, with that, I guess we'll end issue 13.5. So say bye, everyone.
Bye.